Drew Healy, and welcome to another episode of Behind the White Picket Fence, where life is both messy and beautiful. Today I have on Koreann. She came to me as a client, and we've since worked together on and off and become great friends. And Koreann became a stepmom to 3 children, 13, 11, and 2. They're now 22, 20, and 11. And one of them even has special needs. So Koreann has had a ton of experience as a stepmom, and she's here to share with us today what that word has sort of come to mean for her, the idea of mothering itself, her relationship with her husband now, and what her whole experience has been like overall as a stepmom. And I thought that that would be great for our listeners to hear her journey. I know that no two people's stories are the same, and so it's just one story of one woman who can hopefully shed some light, and maybe we can all learn from her journey and her experiences together today. So welcome, Koreann.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I am so excited to have you on. We've talked about doing this for a little while now, and I finally got the calendar and got you in it. And I love talking to people because I hear stories all day long in my job as a parent coach and a youth coach, but I know that other people don't get the luxury of hearing everyone's experiences and getting to learn from them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's perfect. I was sort of telling you before we started to record that when I entered this whole journey and experience, I was frantically searching for resources and stories and people that had been through it before. So I'm happy to share, because if someone else in my position or is like a new to the situation person, maybe it's helpful.
I think so. I think that, I don't think there's any story that wouldn't be helpful. I always say that in my job, and I say this often, that I never thought I'd be in a place where I feel like I'm equally receiving as much as I'm giving in my day-to-day job, because I think I learned just as much from our conversations as I think you're learning from our conversations.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, I think and as you said, resources are hard to come by, especially in this situation.
Yes. Oh my God. It felt like it was impossible to find anything familiar to what was happening. Yeah, I know. And some people always say to me, why don't you do group coaching? Which I can do, but especially in these cases, your story is so unique. Yeah.
I mean, well, why don't we start with, I think you've mentioned to me, and I'll share with our listeners, and maybe this is a good place to start, that you didn't really think you wanted to even become a mother.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is my number one priority was to find my person.
Right.
And then however long that was going to take. I think that having children or whatever that looked like for me was always up in the air. I was really open to whatever that looked like.
Okay.
And then I found my person, and he came with 3 children. And so, and in the beginning, and now, oh my God, it's been almost 10 years now. So I'm so glad it worked out this way, but there was a lot of sticky parts in between then and now, I think. But yeah, originally there was no plan. I think that's what happens when you have no plan. Anything can happen. But yeah, I'm super grateful for it now. But yeah, there was no like blueprint I was looking to follow. And then I think that's how you go on wild adventures.
I would agree. I agree. Yeah. I really like that you were so detached from the outcome.
Yeah.
That you were just saying, like, I'm just looking to find a life partner, someone that I love, care about, and I think is magical and amazing in all these fabulous ways. And you find it. Yeah. And then it comes with.
Totally. Yeah. It came with so many things. I think the thing for me, I've always been an overthinker. I'm very much, I like to think about the details.
Welcome to the club.
And the idea of parenthood was not one that I ever took lightly. I always thought about it, or I would watch people contemplating it, or they would be kind of working towards it, or they would say, I've always known I want to be a mother. And I never felt that way. And it always just felt like this massive responsibility, which it is. And I just wasn't sure. I don't think you're ever ready. I mean, I hear people say that all the time, but I could never yeah, I could never just I never knew in my gut that that was something I 100% wanted. And so for me, because I didn't feel that way, I wasn't willing to push that into motion because I just wasn't sure. I felt it was something that you should be sure about. Anyway,
Right.
for me, that's what it felt like. So
yeah, I know it's funny you say that because I think on a personal level, it was something that I definitely dreamed about for a long time. It was
Right.
something I definitely knew I wanted.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I did get married and it was obvious and it was clearly spoken about that we would have children and that I was excited to have children. But you're right, nothing ever prepares you for it. Whether you have them yourself or you've come into a situation where you now have them. There is no preparation, and I don't think you are ever truly ready.
Yeah.
And we talked about this too, is that, you know, parenting is hard.
And
then parenting children that, you know, you've come into that aren't your own children, I think adds a layer of delicacy that you've had to dance around. So let's talk about that word. I'd love to hear, because, you know, what does it mean? You're now a stepmom, and these children do have a biological mom.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that word.
The word has always freaked me out. The word is not one we use a ton. I think it has a lot to do with like the age I met the two older children at. It didn't feel quite right. And I think, again, being the overthinker, all I could think about was how are they feeling about this scenario, and being concerned that, I don't know, all the things. Did they think I was, you know, coming into something they didn't want me to be a part of, or were they ready, or how did they feel about their dad dating, and what did that mean for their mom? And I don't know, I was always thinking about every single detail. So, I mean, that on top of, I just feel like the word mother is such a big word and such a major responsibility and such an important role, and one that I didn't want to push my way into for them. I didn't want to, you know, be a bossy new person in their life, telling them what to do. So anyway, the word itself has always been a scary one for me, to be honest. And so even now we joke that I'm the stylist, I'm the life coach, I'm the roommate married to their father. We have a joke about it now.
Okay.
So, but yeah, because as soon as I'm introducing them, the word, it's hard for me to get it out of my mouth to say I'm their stepmother.
Is that the word you use when you introduce?
It's what everyone uses. So I don't. So we always have these funny, awkward introductions because someone will say, "This is Koreann's." They'll even say daughter.
Right.
And this is Koreann's stepdaughter, and then we giggle, and I still get sweaty over the word. I don't know. I think even just as we get to know, because we're still so much getting to know each other.
Right. 10 years in.
10 years in, I feel like, you know, relationships like that take time. Like, I think that's the thing, coming in and just putting a stamp on it, like, hello, I am your stepmother.
Right.
I wasn't there for the first half of your life. It feels so big for me.
Right.
The youngest, though, has started to use it a lot. And I've been, you know, I guess, honestly, a lot more mothering for her. I mean, I met her when she was 2.
Right.
So there was a lot more time that was spent, and she wouldn't remember time before me. Like, I guess it feels a little more comfortable, and she started using it.
Okay.
I think naturally. So that one, I guess, feels, you know, everyone needs a name to call somebody, and for her, that one, I guess, makes the most sense.
Of course. Back up a little bit. I love what you said, and that you playfully have other rules.
Yeah.
Break those rules down for me, like a stylist.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. So his oldest daughter lives with us full time, and so we get to spend the most time together. And so it's turned into all these hilarious rules where we talk about outfits. We're doing consults on what earrings to wear and all of the things that you would. I mean, our age difference also too is one that I would have been a really young mother.
Right.
So it's getting really fun as she gets older, and we spend that much time together. So yeah, so things like consultant, life coach. We're doing a lot of learning about finances and just funny things like that, and also to career wise, which is something that, you know, I've had a lot of fun with and I'm really passionate about. So being able to share any of that with her has been really fun. So anyway, those little you know, we just make a joke about it, what we're going to refer to me on any given day.
Right. Yeah. What is it today?
Yeah.
Well, I think that, you know, the opportunity exists for you just to be that role model in their lives, that it can become, I would hope, to be seen as a good thing, that you're this additional person in their lives who, while biologically are not their mom, you have this opportunity to impact their lives in positive ways, in that sense. That I think a lot of times when we hear the word stepmom, there's some negative
oh yes,
things
totally.
society. Yeah,
Instantly
talk about
go to
that.
Cinderella.
Yeah, you go to Cinderella. Okay, we go to Cinderella.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I was never I've never experienced it myself, and I think, again, like I said, I would just think about how that might feel to have someone new come into your life and not have any control over it, or, you know, they didn't choose me, their dad did.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, oh my God, I'm so lucky. They have been so incredible. You know, you hear all the funny horror stories about what that might be like, and just they've been nothing but welcoming to me. So I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better situation in that way. But I think the role, I would say that the thing I'm the most proud of, and the thing that I love to do just naturally anyway, is just be there.
Right.
So whatever that looks like. And I think early on, when I was starting to overthink things, and like, what should I do, and what's my role here, and all of those different pieces, and my husband and I, we talked about it so much, is we just need to be here for them and sort of lead by example, just like, you know, I do in my career and all those different things. And so whether it's being there and making dinner and sitting around the table, that was one of the things you and I talked about really early on that had meant so much to me in my childhood, and try to implement just those really simple things into their life and just literally just be there. I think that has been the most important thing, and is really, I think, the most meaningful, like, as we get more into that relationship. And again, the oldest daughter, I know she really loves that part too. So I think it's something that now it's really kind of fun to think back. Now it's been almost 10 years. Those are the pieces that are really beginning to be like part of our story, and are things that she really values as well. Yeah,
because I think you're tapping into family values, and just because we have a traditional view of family, there are non-traditional families all over the place. And now we can create our own set of routines and traditions and things that we care about, and spending time around the table is one of those things. So talk to me about, I mean, well, let me back up and say this. It's so lovely that they have been so accepting, because I don't think that's every situation. And I think it can be very tender, you know, also knowing that, you know, I'm divorced, and I have many divorced friends where other partners are now coming onto the scene on both sides. And I think especially for moms, it can be sensitive about who steps into that stepmom role, and what does that look like, and what's their relationship with your kids. And it can cause a lot of insecurity on the biological mother's place, and the kids often can feed off of that. Like, things can look not so pretty, but you know, you've got these 3 kids. Kids are generally beautifully accepting humans in general, but you've got these 3 kids. There's got to be difficult parts of this. Like, are you allowed to come in and say, okay, well, I need you to unload the dishwasher, or I need you to vacuum, or I need you to walk the dog? And how have you merged into that role of, do I get to give you directives when you're living with me, or do I not? And how does that impact your relationship with your husband?
I think that is all stuff we're still figuring out. Like, every day, everything changes. That's probably been the hardest part, one of the hardest parts. I think I have my confidence pants on a little bit better than I did in the beginning, and the relationship is deeper now.
Of course.
But I would say that for me to just feel comfortable to ask them to do very regular things, I haven't felt comfortable to do that. And I don't know, I mean, I think it is like the number one thing for me, obviously the reason why I was here in the first place is my relationship with my partner. And this wasn't a relationship where we started doing the parenting together. And it was new for him to be a single parent when I met him. So there's just been so much learning for everybody. So I would highly recommend to find somebody like Marjorie to help work through all the details. But no, I mean, that has been a complete struggle. And it seems so silly, like when I say the things out loud that I'm having a hard time with, like, you know, what is my role and where am I able to sort of step in, or what should I be involved in while being sensitive to everybody's relationships. I think it's something that I'll be working through for our whole relationship, I would imagine. Yeah. And I just want to be so sensitive to everybody that's part of the whole spider web that we have going on. And yeah, I guess it sometimes feels hard just to quickly say things like, hey, would you empty the dishwasher? For some reason, those things seem to not flow out of my mouth quite as naturally as it would for, I don't know, I'm imagining if it was my own child, but.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's fair. I mean, I think the concerns that we talked about in our sessions are very fair. I have no problem telling my own kids, you know, can you vacuum the main floor today, or can you know, do a chore as part of this family unit, as part of your contribution to this unit. But I think if I had someone else's child, I would be sensitive to how that could come across, and really comes down to, okay, can this be a relationship in which we have respectful boundaries between us, that you see me as an integral member of this family and I see you as an integral member of this family, and there are still certain responsibilities even though I'm your stepmom, right? I mean, what advice would you give someone if you could go back to the beginning? Would you do anything different? Would you offer any other advice to other stepmoms in your situation, coming into your situation?
I don't know, I think everyone is so different. I think the things that I was tripped up on, or that do still trip me up, are things that are me, like maybe things that I struggle with, or just being really direct with people is a thing I struggle with. Like there's just, you know, silly little things that it makes you look at, you know, kind of all of your own things. But I think, I don't know, I mean, communication with your person, obviously, and finding someone, if there's pieces that don't seem to be, if maybe you're not on the same page, or if it's the words that seem to be coming out of your mouth are not necessarily getting processed, you know, it goes both ways, is definitely finding someone to talk through it. I think we both, to not have had that type of support, I think it probably could have been a completely different scenario, because there's just so much, there's so many sensitive pieces to it. And we both knew that, so we just definitely were like, okay, we need to do something to make sure that we're navigating this in a way that it's going to be, you know, the outcome that we want, the result that we want. But yeah, I think for me, I knew that the relationship building part was the most important. I had a lot of catch up to do to build the relationship, to get it to the point where I was going to be able to just feel relaxed and like myself, and able to ask for the things like I would for anyone else. And so that is sort of where all the energy went. And I think the focus on that, though, maybe takes away from just being yourself. Like I just wasn't really, it took me a really long time to relax into it. I still sometimes feel a little like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna handle that.
Yeah, I think that, I hear you 100%. I think we have to settle into a place that feels like we are supported also by our partner. Like, well, we can say, okay, I'm going to work on my relationship with these children. I also need to work on it in a way that my partner feels good. And so it makes your job so challenging, because you're constantly having to ensure that simultaneously you're communicating on a level that is so full of maturity and respect with your partner, which we know when we get triggered. We even talked about this, right? You get triggered, and just that alone, you start to come undone, and you're thinking, okay, I need to be so mature in how we communicate while I'm building a relationship with these children that aren't biologically mine, that I'm sustaining that piece at the same time.
Totally. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard, I think. And then when I think about my partner, he's obviously very, and is like in an amazing way, concerned and really wants them to be okay,
right,
and feel safe and comfortable in the house,
right,
and then is worried about me as well, where I'm mostly just worried about me,
right,
or whatever silly frustration it is. Like I just, the default is that I will have my own processing in my brain, and then he has to manage it from both sides.
right.
And I think that, and I'm always very conscious of that, but at the same time that I have to be the one that is sort of dancing around it a little bit more, or being a little bit more sensitive to it.
Right. I don't think you're just worried about you, except you're seeing it from your angle.
Yes.
I think is what you're trying to say. Because I know you're actually probably the last person just to be worried about yourself. You're actually seeing it from like, how can I be so considerate of my partner, and that knowing these are his children, and how do I make sure that we're sensitive. Whereas I think what you're saying is that he kind of can get stuck in the middle between, he's probably looking at it from both sides of, well, how do I make sure that Koreann's okay, and that my kids are okay, that our relationship's okay, and I always say then, as the number of people in a home grows, it's like a spider web. Everyone's got individual relationships with each other, but then you all function together as well, and everybody's roles shifts as each person moves about the house. So it's challenging, it's like you and your partner have a relationship, you and your stepdaughter have a relationship, your stepson, and then what does it look like when you're all together? I mean, everything is changing all the time. But talk to me about this, because one of these, the 2-year-old, when you met her, she has some special needs, and what was that like? Because it's one thing when you've got some, children are difficult in general, and then you add additional care that you were stepping into. What was that like for you?
I think it gradually developed over time. I would say that it's been really tough. It's very high needs.
Right.
And the thing I think that it has done in a positive way is it has forced my partner and his ex to have a functional relationship.
Okay.
That I don't know if there would have been one anyway, but there is one where everyone has to just shake all of the maybe icky things off, or a little bit of those, all the weird things that would maybe come up for being in the same room together.
Right.
And work together to make sure that his youngest daughter is cared for. But super hard in the exact same thing we were just talking about, where it's been so hard that my partner spent a lot of time worried I wasn't going to stay because of it. And for me, that's genuinely never been the case. It's just another place where I've been on the outside looking in and watching two people whose the responsibility is really ultimately on them, and still not having a super ton of no control over what we're doing, how it's going, what can we do to make it better, all of those different things, because it wasn't truly mine.
Right.
And I think over time I've definitely become more involved, and definitely we've all worked together to come up with plans, and things are much different than they were in the beginning. But it's been totally tough, but I think there's a lot of things that have come out of it in a way where everybody's probably doing better in a relationship than maybe it would have if they had never had to talk again because of the youngest needing so much help.
Like they were forced to talk about.
They were forced to talk. Yeah,
right.
They were forced to talk.
Right.
Which
I think it speaks to another problem for, stepmoms to come into the situation, because sometimes, breakdowns of unions are so messy and are so full of hurtful
Mm-hmm.
things that have gone on or that could have gone on, or just the breakdown of the union is just generally sad. Like, let's be frank, I don't think anyone goes into marriage thinking that it's going to fall apart, and or predicting the ways in which it can fall apart. And relationships get broken past the desire to go separate ways, and then to have to mend. They really had no choice but to mend it enough. You're right, to come into a situation because there's this child who needs more care than the average week on, week off situation that could develop from that. There was requiring of resources and hands-on care that you walked into as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's been the way the care has looked has changed. I can't even remember how many times over the past 10 years, but recently we were doing like a 50-50, 2 week on, 2 week off situation. So it was a lot. It's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot to do. And then I think it's okay to share this, but she's actually no one's biological daughter.
That's right.
In the situation. So that adds another element of just, everyone really coming together to make sure that she's taken care of. But the connection and all of those pieces that I would imagine really, really matter when things are really hard has just been unique for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Without confusing our listeners, yes, this is a family situation in which the child's been formally taken care of by your partner.
Yes.
And your partner's ex.
Yes.
And yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not straightforward, but you're right. Everybody's stepped in and stepped into the situation of a desire to truly help and love this little girl and provide her the support she needs. And it's quite beautiful. And maybe there's another point in which we could tell that greater story behind how that came to be. But the point is, it came to be, and I always say, and I think it's fair to say this, I think all three of you are incredibly amazing humans to have leaned into the situation the way you have, because this little girl does require so much support and love, and all three of you have probably found yourself in an unexpected situation and have done so with so much grace. So you're not just, I know everyone's story is unique, but I think one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here is that this is really above and beyond in its unique ways. And I think it's fair why your partner would fear that you would look at this situation and say, maybe I don't want to do this. I mean, maybe I didn't sign up for this, or maybe I didn't realize how hard this was going to be. And yet you guys have such a strong connection that you were like, no, I'm willing to find someone to help me. I'm willing to figure this out because it's important to me too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is the thing. It is a funny thing to say. There wasn't one moment where I felt like I'm out of here, but there's definitely lots of moments. I can't even tell you the number of hours that I've spent Googling, looking for options for care and all of those different things to try to make it easier, or to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Because it really did and does still feel like there's, it's definitely it's a lifetime of care that she will need, and her mom does the majority of it, and it's really, it's a lot of work.
And by her mom, again, not to be confused with your partner's ex-wife.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But I think, okay, so if it's okay to say, just because I remember listening to podcasts when I was, new to the situation, and it always felt like everybody was doing better than me in the situation.
Okay.
I think that I would say that it is incredibly hard. Like it's been hard for everybody. It's been hard for all three people. And I think that the only reason that we're here is that we're able to communicate. to each other in a way, and if it's not working, then we find someone like you, or we'll dip back in and out when things get tough, because it is an impossible situation, it's felt like. And I know the odds for this type of relationship and family integration, I think, is not necessarily that great. And then to add the layer of this super high needs child that is, it's just a big thing to take on for everybody, that it's like the toughest thing to do. And the only reason that we're here is that I can honestly look at that person and we can have a conversation where we're volleying things back and forth with each other, and both people are willing to admit that if we're triggered by something, we will most often be able to go away and come back and say, okay, that was why I reacted to this, and we need to figure out a better way to kind of move forward, because there's just so much, there's such a huge charge in it all, because you're thinking of your future and those moments and how you handle the little things and how you're going to handle the big things, and there's just so much built into it. So yeah,
I think it's so fair to say, I think the things that you're tapping into and speaking about is, number one, a willingness. So to wake up every day and say, okay, this is hard, but I still want to, and I'm willing to be here, and a willingness to communicate on both your parts, with you and your partner and his ex. I'm still willing to maintain those relationships, maintain that level of communication to keep going. Because there's no other way around it for this job and desire and care to be given on an ongoing basis. If you're not willing, how does this go forward?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, I'm choosing to be a part of this. That's the commitment. But every day you choose. I mean, that's what everybody does in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a partnership. You're choosing to be there every day. So then you have to then show up or come up with different, solutions to the problems together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I could go even as far as to say that, you clearly love each other to such a high level, because really this is an act of love.
Oh yeah.
It's a reflection of your love for your partner
for sure
to come into this role, to learn this role, to develop these relationships with the children, with his ex, and say, you know what, I love you so much, and I'm now, and obviously you love the children so much that you're still so willing to show up, even in light of the challenges that present every day, because there are challenges that keep presenting, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, in the, sort of in the beginning, I really didn't know what my partnership or family was going to look like. And I think that this is one of those cases where it's worked out exactly how it should have worked out. And I always say, like, I got to sort of fast forward to the good part with the two older kids, because now it's, very quickly it sort of accelerated to this hanging out in the kitchen with a glass of wine. And that's my jam.
Right.
Cooking food and hanging out and knowing that they love it just as much as I do. So I think that's sort of one of those funny little things that you didn't know you needed, where you have, I would spend all my time in the kitchen. I think for a person who didn't know whether or not she wanted to have kids, my favorite thing to do is to run around and create a home. So I was presented with 4 people to do that for. And I didn't have to think about whether I was or was not going to have kids. It just sort of happened that way. And anyway, so there's always ways to look at things.
Yes, no, I actually love what you said, because I think that there's 2 things I want to touch on that you said, is that you got to create and you really enjoy creating a home. That's huge. A space that people can come into and feel loved and cared for by each other. That's a home.
Totally. That would be, if I could actually create a job for myself, I would love to be able to go into people's homes and make it cozy. That would be my favorite thing. But I think it's what people need. I mean, I have very early on, probably our first phone call, you asked me some some memories, or what were some core memories of my childhood. And it still is the same thing. I have really clear memories of coming home to my mom and my dad around the island, and my mom was cooking dinner, and my dad was having a drink, or whatever it was, and there's music on, and that is just what I've been trying to recreate for myself for my whole life. And when I met my partner, and I met him at probably the most inopportune timing. He had just separated, and they were in a brand new house with furniture everywhere, and everything was crazy. And I instantly went into cozy mode, and that's been the goal. So it's been many layers of paint, and some renovations, and lots of lighting choices, and things in the oven. But yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. I love walking into a home where you can feel it.
Right.
So.
People say that often about, we're recording in my formal living room.
Yeah.
and people say this all the time. I mean, they come in here and they say, and it's not perfect. Obviously for me post-divorce, I'm still decorating it and trying to make a home. But people come in here and they say, oh my gosh, it feels so warm here. And I think I really do think it's an energy and a feeling. And I think it's the people within the home that create the home. But yes, you set the stage, you cook, that togetherness, that brings out that beautiful warm energy in each other that creates what we call a home.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The other thing you touched on was the age of this, especially the older two, but I know the daughter's with you full time, but the age of the kids, because I often say as parents, we won't always shine through every age and stage. I mean, there's the newborn diapers burping up all night, where some people are like, as crazy as that's every stage is crazy, but as crazy as that stage is, they just really lean in. And then the toddler stage and the preschool stage and the grade school, then the teenager, and then the young adult.
Yeah.
You're at the young adult stage, and I am too. I have 21-year-olds and an almost 17-year-old, so I'm there too. And I will also say this: it is such a fabulous place to be.
Yeah.
And I think that they all have rewarding pieces of them, but you're right, you could sit and share on a different level when they get to that kind of launch part of their lives.
Yeah, I feel like I can be way more myself now. Also, I mean, the relationship's developed now, so it feels more comfortable for that reason as well. But it's definitely, I would say this is more my jam.
Right. Well, you've also had a lot of experience. We don't need to go into it, but a lot of industry work experience that as a woman and as an entrepreneur and as a business, I think I would just call you a businesswoman. As a businesswoman, I think you have probably a lot to share. You and I have even shared some business stories too, but you have a lot to share at the stage of their lives, of the older two anyways.
Yeah.
You have a lot that you can experience, you could lean into and offer them.
Yeah.
And as I say, you can offer them invitations as to,
yes.
I invite you to look at it this way, or you've done things in ways and had these opportunities that they're now going to benefit from. Right?
Yes. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, the conversations now are really fun, and I just feel like I'm hanging out with my friends.
Right.
For the most part in the kitchen. So.
Yeah. Well, there becomes a time when every parent shifts from being a parent to being a friend.
Yes. Well, but I'm also in the sweet spot because I'm still there's still dad in the house who gets to be dad, where I get to play I'm the friend. I can dip in and out of that role.
Right, you sure can.
I can dip in and out whenever for whatever's necessary. So.
Right, for whatever's needed at the time. Yeah, you really can, because you can kind of slide back and say, I can now put myself into this place because it's easier in that way because of who you are and how you came into the picture.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of neat. It's I think it's hard to sometimes see the blessings when there has been so many challenges, but there are tons of blessings in your situation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm so excited. We just, I always talk about whenever that is, whenever the oldest moves out or whatever, just like bringing them like all the different next phases for what that might look like, everyone coming home for the weekend, and I don't know, just all of the little things. I feel like I'm excited about it now, and we've kind of feel like we've come over some sort of hump. Maybe it was a while ago, maybe it was recently, I don't know, but now it just, everything feels a lot more settled. But again, just all of that just takes so much time. I think it just takes so much time. I think I have a default need to come up with a solution and execute to make things feel comfortable right away.
Right.
And I think this whole experience, that's just not how it goes. Like you can, there's little things that are going to come up, and you're going to talk to somebody really wonderful like yourself, and you'll come up with a solution for one situation, and then things develop and everybody grows up and changes and evolves. But I just think it's just time, and it's just like putting in the time every day with each other and choosing to build that relationship, and then you get to the point. And not that things won't change in another 2 years, or everybody, I'll go home today and get in a giant fight. Just joking. But no, you just never know. So I think it's just, it's like a daily practice.
Yeah, I love that. I think what you're touching on there too is patience, letting things unfold and not necessarily feeling the need to fix everything, but also just trusting that if I just keep showing up here, if I just keep coming as my best self and staying open and listening and learning and communicating and showing up every day, over time, this will just keep getting better and better.
Totally. And I think that's the thing. I think with the time, that's now been proven to me. I think there's been phases, definitely when I first met you, that I couldn't see it yet because the time, I guess, hadn't passed, or we hadn't. I think just settling into it and having the patience and just trusting that things are going to, work out as long as we're here and doing kind of the work or whatever you want to call it.
I do think, and that's tricky because when I talk to parents who are in challenging situations, we do talk a lot about trusting and knowing that this will find its way, because there are some really incredibly challenging situations that show up in families. And what does it look like to have faith? I mean, maybe not in the spiritual sense, because everyone's different in that way, but in the sense that, okay, I can't see the future, I don't know, but I'm going to trust and have faith that this will find its way. Hard to do.
Hard to do, for sure. And I think a part, if it's okay to I just having a light bulb go off too, I think also how it evolved for me, like our situation specifically, is where everybody was living was different, and then all of a sudden, come COVID, everybody moved in full time. That was the hard part. I think that was the part where I was like, okay, we are in it now. And so then that was the biggest sort of moment where it was real. And so we had to figure out our way through.
I know,
together.
Think together, all at once. I know, I think COVID put a lot of families, I call them ecosystems, put a lot of family ecosystems, however they have come to be, under a microscope. And, both beneficial and challenging also. Nothing worth getting doesn't come with its challenges, but COVID did force a lot of us to look more closely at the relationships and the work we're doing to build those relationships.
Totally.
And I think in your unique situation, COVID hit, and you guys were all together, and you had to say, okay, now this role matters more than ever.
But such a good thing also, because if I hadn't had that, like if that hadn't kind of forced that move, then I wouldn't know them like I do now. So I don't think so. I mean, it's such a different thing when they're kind of going back and forth, week on, week off. Everything's just a little bit different. Feels a little more temporary, obviously, because it is. So I think the force to be together, you just really get to know each other.
And it is kind of a unique, I mean, living through a pandemic.
That alone
was such a unique experience for so many of us. And I think you're right, the gift, I have yet to meet anyone who, while there were negative effects of the pandemic, I have yet to meet anyone who hasn't walked away with blessings from that
Was, yeah.
opportunity,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
think that just offered us a unique,
Thank goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank goodness, a unique opportunity to see family life from a different lens that we wouldn't have otherwise had. And yes, there were negative things, obviously, it goes without saying.
Yeah.
But there were unique opportunities for us there. So, is there anything else you would add that you would want someone to know, or that you'd want, because you really had trouble finding a resource. I mean, I'm thankful we found each other and that I was able to come in and be a part of your journey, obviously, because even I learned a lot about the human spirit in your family, and you know the dedication and the commitment that you guys all had and embodied. But is there anything you'd share with someone who, you know, is in a similar situation, or just any words of wisdom? What would be kind of the last, you know, as we kind of sign off here, that you would want to say or want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I hope everybody out there has a partner like mine, because there's that. I think that's like the number one thing. And then I think I said this to you earlier, when it felt tough, looking for resources for, I guess, somebody like me. I know every situation's unique, but everything I was listening to, every book I could find or podcast was people in relationships with people, and they had their own children, they were planning to have their own children, they really wanted to be a stepmom. All of the children were way younger, it felt like, so they were more in that place where I think it would be easier to step into a mother type role,
right,
versus sort of younger teenage age. And I think just finding help that's applicable, or trying to find a support system where, I don't know, they can kind of help you get through the weeds in those pieces, because I was listening to things and it was just making me almost more uncomfortable with it, because I just felt frustrated because I couldn't find anybody that was sort of telling, reiterating my story back to me.
Right.
So again, so grateful I found you, because I know that's not necessarily your situation, but having someone, a professional help you through it, I think is the most important thing. Like, don't wait. Find someone who can help you talk through it with your person.
I think that's a really good, really good offering on hand is get help. Like, no one has to do this alone.
Yeah.
No one has to do life alone.
No, everyone is living life for the first time. I think this is one of my favorite things that I just like to repeat back. My parents, everybody. Everyone is doing it for the first time, including your partner. Even though you want to scream and say, "What are you doing?" You're just doing it for the first time.
Right.
So just knowing that, and then helping find someone to help you navigate it.
Yeah, raise your hand. I mean, I always say for kids in school, there's so many things you can learn in school, and I tell my kids, if you walk out of elementary school and high school with one thing, I hope it's that you learned how to raise your hand, that you learned how to ask for help, because that will take you so far in life.
Absolutely.
When you don't know, when you're lost for answers, or when you're lost for direction, the answer's always within, but when you're lost for some direction or something to that, in which you find yourself needing that guidance, when you put up your hand, there are people out there. Yes. People will help. People are willing to help you. So I love that you said that. And it doesn't have to be, obviously you found me, and there's more of me out there. I always say date your coach, date your therapist.
Well, it's so important to connect.
Yes.
You have to be able to.
Yes. Find someone that you connect with. I say that over and over. Find the person that you feel resonates with you, that you feel can help you the most, or will be of the most help, and ask for it.
Yes.
It's huge.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll sign off. Thank you so much for coming on. You're so brave.
Thank you. So fun.
Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to come and share it, and I know that I always say I'm doing this because life is both messy and beautiful, and people can learn from each other, and I desire for people to have the same experiences that I'm so lucky to just get as a byproduct of my job, but to let people know that this isn't perfect, this is a bumpy road, and that we're in it together, and we can learn from each other. So
totally.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Marjorie.
Yeah, thanks for being part of that process. And we'll have you on again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I say that to everyone. We'll do this again.
Yeah.
All right, take good care. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
was good.
There we go.
Yeah,
Is that
easy.
okay?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Just a conversation.
Just a conversation.
Yeah, how did you feel?
Good job.
I can edit out the Jordan part.
Yeah.
So it was so easy because I just paused long enough there to make a
And you can
smooth
just
edit.
edit it right out. Yeah, that's the thing. It's such a rookie, like, I'm clearly not because you're not supposed to stop, right? Isn't that what they say? Like, just keep going.
That is.
Don't say, oh no. Oh,
I know. No, you did.
Yeah.
You did really well. And I
Yeah.
left a long enough pause that edit will be easy. I'll stop
Okay.
this. Yeah. So how long did we do? Yeah.